I first said, "Oh, write me a R&B song. Write me a song like this," and the song was whack. It was a whack song. It was all right. How to grow a fan base? Tell me, and it'll give me a whole essay on this is what you should do to grow your fan base and take someone from 0 to 1,000 fans.
AI is in such a weird space, especially what we thought it was going to take over was like the kind of like lawyers, like the hard work stuff,
Right.
But it's destroying the artist space, which I didn't even think that would be possible. Like, how can AI recreate art? Like, how do you know the concept of art? But you understood what it feels like to be that 15-year-old kid on FrostWire, like, bam, downloading this shit. Like, this is wild.
As an adult, I don't even like sitting in a room for 6 hours at a training. I'm fried already. I learned the other day that after 22, you get kicked out. Like, you can't be in high school past 22. Regardless if you're a senior, as soon as you turn 22, and at least in California, you're done. Find out how you can make yourself irreplaceable or dispensable in that space.
What's up, everyone? What's good? How's it going? Welcome to the After Dark edition of the beginning of the Never Ending. I'm really excited to bring back our guest again, Mr. Bishop. I'm curious because our show is going to be a little impactful here because I really want to jump into this world. I know you're kind of in the educational world. You've been in the engineering space, right? So you've been on the back end side of like creating the music, right? You've been on creating your own and building your own kind of like your own your own like style of music as well. So I just want to jump into like a whole deep AI conversation with you, okay? It's because I'm really curious behind your thoughts behind this, okay? So I'm not sure if you heard, but I'll read this quick article, right? So this is an article by, this is just Fox News article. So obviously there's been a wave of artificial intelligence, right? Advancements that have sparked debate and strong reactions in the music industry, right? Blurring the line between real and artificial talent. With viral sensations like a 19-year-old Jared Chavez using AI to create songs like featuring popular artists' vocals, the possibilities of AI-generated music has become a hot topic among music enthusiasts and the industry professionals alike. Chavez is a junior at the University of South Florida, gained internet fame with the AI-inspired creations went viral by inputting a vocal track and applying a data set containing files of specific artists. The AI learns them to mimic the artist's voices and produces the audio track with submitted vocals. From Kanye West to Taylor Swift, obviously the most popular being Drake, the most recently one, right? AI-generated songs have enthralled millions of listeners, although public perception has remained divided. While some people are fascinated by the potential of AI music in production, others expresses concerns about the ethical and legal implications of technology. So the reason I think this is interesting, because I don't know if you remember this, back in the day, right? They would have to drop. There used to be record stores all over the place.
Yeah.
In order to get your music, you had to come, go down to the record store, flip through freaking vinyls like all day, or you had to cop some CDs if you got lucky, or 8 tracks. You got like just trying to toss it into your. So I'm really curious about like the evolution of music, especially when it comes to like rights, because artists' rights have been so difficult when it comes to like technology, because as technology advances, more copyrights situations happen. So my first question to you is with that, right? The transition from the music industry, I don't know if you know too much about it, but LimeWire, right? Were you kind of really supportive of that kind of world?
I mean, I was very young at the time, so LimeWire was actually right before my time. My initial dive into music for myself was FrostWire. I don't know if there's a big difference or what happened.
Sure.
I just remember LimeWire it'll give you viruses, and as soon as my parents saw my sister had LimeWire on the computer, delete this, I had to reinstall it. But I remember FrostWire came out, it was supposed to be the no virus version of LimeWire. I mean, that's what I remember. But I was a kid. I didn't know. When I got on FrostWire, I was about 13, so 7th grade or so. And I thought it was amazing how I can just search any album and download it I was like, man, like
Isn't that wild?
yeah.
Wild.
And I had the same mind-blowingness when streaming came out. When I got my first subscription on Apple, I downloaded enough albums, my phone ran out of storage. I downloaded everything.
Because you thought it was going to be stolen.
I was like, man, no, I just was like, man, I really could listen to anything. Like, that was just so amazing to me. Like, I didn't listen to half them albums, but eventually, I don't know. So I thought it was cool.
But I think it was interesting. Artists used to make, $10 off of an album, like, for each person by purchasing or buying something from them.
Right.
That's like, and that's millions of copies being sold. Mm-hmm. Now you get streams, right? So I don't know. I think the average stream is like pennies, right?
Not even that.
It's not even that.
So that's actually an interesting point you bring up, as how I'll talk about this a lot with friends. Like, the business model for music has changed, and a lot of people blame the artist fully for why everything's. They blame point finger different places, but yeah, before the margins were so much higher on music,
dude.
To some degree, because album you sell for $10, $13, $15, sometimes even $30 or more.
Right.
You're making way money versus one stream is not even half of a penny. It's like half of a fraction of a penny. So like, I have to look at the calculation again, but years ago, if you got 1 million streams, that was $5,000 you would get if you got 1 million streams. And it depends on what platform. Is that on Spotify? Is that on Apple? Is that on Tidal, YouTube? Because that number kind of varies. But that was a general rough estimate. It was like, if you get 1 million streams, that would be like a $5,000 payout.
So this is something I noticed, because in the music industry, it felt like people can only make money by touring. Touring was like the only way, because if you can't really make money off the music per se, unless off of royalties, because I've heard royalties actually could be a really, like, people who see, I should have done my homework a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, with they register their music within a certain right, and so then when people play their music, they be able to make royalties off of their music, of their songs, right? Mm-hmm. And so something I find is interesting is that, like, now that AI is stepping into the place where you don't even really know, is this the artist or is this not?
Well, that's a good question. I think from what I've seen, nobody yet has uploaded music and pretended to pass it off as the artist. That'd be kind of hard. Like, if a Drake AI comes out with a song,
and they're
Drake is not gonna be like, yo, this is me, or like, I don't know. There's a different push that's not happening when it's an AI song versus when it's the actual person. So from what I've seen, they always put AI mix. Nobody's tried to come out and say they're Drake or say they're to Taylor Swift or whatever, because that's hard to do when they're still alive and active. It's like that person's there.
But you do have this kind of sense of, like, if AI, and how long does it really take to really produce a really good song? And AI can do it in potentially like seconds.
From what I've seen, the best use of AI is when a real person writes the song and puts it in someone else's voice. Vocals. So I remember I saw this guy, I was on TikTok once. There was a songwriter, artist, or somebody, but he wrote the song and put Drake's voice on it, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's one of the hardest Drake verses I ever heard. But obviously, it was a real person that wrote it, and it was crazy because afterwards he posted his version of the song. It didn't sound as good. I was like, maybe you might need to be a songwriter for real. But I don't know. I've only tried it once. I was like, all right, let me see if AI can write a song. And I gave it some stuff. This was like when ChatGPT first came out, and it was a decent song. I was like, oh, that could be a cool little pop song, but there was no soul to it for real. So I think people can always kind of tell the difference when it's AI versus a real person. And I'll hear songs sometimes and be like, yeah, AI could never do that. Like, I was listening to Brown Sugar by D'Angelo. I'm like, you're not going to create that off an algorithm. That's crazy.
Who should own the right to AI songs?
That's a good question. So you're saying like if an AI Drake song comes out, who owns it? I think.
That's a hard question, right? Because technically, like, let's say hypothetically, right?
Right.
You have musicians, right? I mean, you even have like actors, like let's say vocal actors,
Right.
Disney movies. You know, anyone can sound like Mickey. You can make them, you know, Mickey Mouse.
Right.
There's like a million people who can like make up a Mickey Mouse voice. But should they own Mickey
I think
Mouse?
I think really it boils down to who they're emulating, how big the artist you're emulating is, and how big the AI person is. Because originally I see AI going to like, I think of someone like Marshmello, where there's no face. You don't know who's behind the mask. You've never seen his face. So I'm like, oh, eventually I could see maybe big AI entity artists or people, or like in a DJ sense, rising up, and you go to a festival to see all these AI mixes, but they're just kind of playing songs. They're not performing. It's more of like a DJ situation. I could see it going that way, but when it comes to, let's take Drake, for example. If Drake gets on your song, like say you're an upcoming artist, and he gets on your song, he takes the whole song. Like 90 to 100% of it.
What?
The whole thing, yeah. So,
Jeez.
but it's a trade-off because obviously, I'll say about like maybe 80% of the time, that song is gonna blow up, and you now have a career off of that song. Think about what it did for like Lil Baby,
Right.
or like Versace with the Migos. It's like a long-term investment. So you might be losing the royalties from that song, which would suck, but now you have this whole music career most of the time that you can then monetize and build money off later. So I would see the same thing happening with AI. Like Drake would just own it. He would just own the song because he's already
But launch
doing
the
it.
AI career for like this specific bot or something, or
No, I think somebody comes with an AI Drake song, say it's fire. His lawyers would just grab it and get a hold of it. And yeah, maybe he creates some kind of AI situation for that person.
So how do you think, like you have students, right? Right. You mentioned when you were a kid, FrostWire was what you kind of jumped onto when this whole first wave of transitions happened, where music industry shifted from being like physical to being digital, right? And the labels didn't keep up, right? And became like sprung a whole ton of like craziness was going on. And now we're shifting from kind of digital to kind of the metaverse, if you want to call it, right? Where now AI generated music can happen and literally imitate other individuals. How could this be a benefit to people? How could they use this tool as if you're an artist, right? And you're thinking of like, okay, because one of the things I'll give you kind of my point of view. I'm curious what you think. If I'm an artist, I know that I only get 24 hours a day, but I can only work like on a good day 12 of those because I gotta eat, you gotta sleep. You know, you need 8 hours of sleep. You got 4 hours to try to maybe squeeze a 16 if you want to, right? In the studio trying to produce, right? But you do get like writer's block, right? At some point you get artist block where you kind of figure out like, man, I don't know what to create. I need some inspiration. It feels like AI would be a great agent to essentially like a music agent, helping someone, just like how the record labels have right now, right? Helping someone, whether it be find ways to market their business, their artistry, even find lyrics that they want to do, things to inspiration with. I feel like AI is a really good way of just trying to help someone manage their musical, production or business, give them advice on how to be able to really get their music to show more on a marketing standpoint. But as a creative, I'm really curious on your perspective of like, as a creative, what could you use AI to actually help you kind of like explore? Like, I don't know if you really dumped it, you just kind of stress your brain there.
It's kind of tough because from what I've seen so far, the best use of AI is when someone who knows how to use it puts in what they're looking for. Like, AI is not coming up with this stuff on their own. Like, it's not just press play and
it's not like Cynthia.
You give it a set of like a set of parameters, and it creates along what you gave it. So the more you know what you're looking for, the better result you'll get. So from a creative standpoint, when it first, I'm still learning how to use it as well. I'm trying to incorporate more into what I'm doing. I first said, "Oh, write me a R&B song, write me a song like this," and the song was whack. It was a whack song. It was all right. Then, one time I asked it to do research on. I've asked it a couple times actually, how to grow a fan base. Tell me, and it'll give me a whole essay on this is what you should do to grow your fan base and take someone from 0 to 1,000 fans in whatever genre you're looking for. You can make it genre specific. And I'm reading it, I'm like, there's some good stuff in here. Like, this is very good. And even with school, now I'm using it to write assignments for my students. So instead of sitting there and taking an hour or whatever to synthesize whatever topic into a assignment, I just say, write me a genre study assignment, and it'll write a whole thing in like 30 seconds, and I'll read it, and I'm like, yep, it's good. So creatively, I don't know, I'm blessed to where when I experience or feel like I'm creating a lot of the same material as an artist, I just go outside and get more experiences and then come back with new things to talk about.
Sure.
So I haven't used it to help me write a song, but I'm trying to use it more, I guess, on the fringes. You gave me a good idea. I need to use it more for business and see what I can pull from it that way. So.
Because think about it this way, right? Because you also have the other side. I'm recognizing the clothing. Is that your? This
is actually everything I'm wearing is my homie. Shout out to Hypeland.
Dude, it's clean.
Made the shirt, made the pants, made the chain, like everything.
So I'm curious because now that's a whole nother dynamic. There's a big thing right now.
That'd be interesting.
Where AI is generating, literally making like banger clothes, like
really,
especially like graphics, right? Like literally digital creators, digital artists, right, are getting destroyed right now because you what would take someone, how long? Like probably a good decade to master how to draw art, create it, digitally make art. AI can do it in like literally seconds, and it's better work. When they first look at ChatGPT, right, the first initial like paintings, and then looking at it now, like I think we're in ChatGPT 4 or 5 right now. It's like
I didn't even know it could do that. So you can ask it to make you a painting,
dude, for real. It's all.
I might ask it to make a cover art, see what it does.
It's Share. What is it? Is it ChatGPT or is it something different?
I've only used ChatGPT.
Okay, do you remember? Yeah. So it's wild though. It's absolutely crazy because you'll like write a prompt, right? Like literally, I'm trying to do some aspect, like really less random stuff, like the meaning of life, and AI will just come up with something.
I wouldn't ask it that. I'm cool off of that.
Well, I'm really
see what it does.
Just trying to see because like this AI is in such a weird space, especially what we thought it was gonna take over was like the kind of like lawyers, like the hard work stuff,
Right.
But it's destroying the artist space, which I didn't even think that would be possible. Like, how can AI recreate art? Like, how do you know the concept of art, right? And then just realizing now, like, wait, actually, we AI does the same thing we do. We observe the world, and then we in our own way, right, interpret it, right, through paintings, through music, through whatever. Right, so they observe information and then they convert it into whatever they see fit. And so I'm feeling like this is really, really cool because it gives like creators, like if I'm 15 right now, oh my gosh, you know what your world's gonna look like in like 10 years?
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. The ability that especially if you start like really getting into it, you're gonna be able to build your own media company, branding company, artists you can literally create. Just because you skip, there's so much education you don't have to do. Because like one of the things I really think about, like if you actually look at like right now, let's say for example, education, right? If you look at the education system, if I really wanted to, if I took my kid, right, and I just like went inside a dark hole, and I just said, look, the only thing you're gonna do is be on the internet. They could literally they can get a PhD in pretty much every single subject. All the information is on the internet. They don't really have to attend school. right? They don't really have to go attend college. All the information they want to become, there's research papers on the internet. There's books upon books of studying, like material that people want to, all free of access to use, that anyone wants to get in touch with and be able to, And if you can figure out, like, if AI, literally, if you just probably asked ChatGPT and said, hey, AI, I want you to get me a master's, get me caught up. Like, I'm in elementary school, right? I need a step-by-step being caught up in, let's say, physics, or, like, how do I need to get, like, okay, not elementary school, but, like, middle school and, like, high school level. How do I get caught up in this? What should be my step, but what should be my day-by-day? Give me, and let me learn, let me get it down in a year, right? And I bet you it should be a cool read. This book, this book, this book, this. I'm going to test this, actually. But you don't understand, because right now we forced to look at it, right? Education system is so far behind, right? Because you have all these resources on the internet, but no one's tapping into it. And I'm so happy to hear that you're like, okay, let me start building these lesson plans, right? Utilizing this tool, because it's so smart. It just saves you time.
Yeah. I'm just trying to use it to help me save time, really, because there's not enough time in the day for much of anything nowadays. And for me personally, more stuff is getting added to my plate every month. So I'm trying to use, everything I can to just get that advantage for real.
So what would you change about the education side of, if you had full control of your kind of music kind of classroom, right?
Right.
You know what's coming. Mm-hmm. Because you lived through it. You lived through, but you didn't understand the business repercussions of what was happening. Mm-hmm. But you understood what it feels like to be that 15-year-old kid on FrostWire, like, bam, downloading this shit. Like, this is wild, right? You understand that kind of concept that's going to be happening, right? What would you wish your teacher told you about that kind of, like, did you wish that was in school? Low key, like your music teacher saying, cool, guys, this is FrostWire, okay, guys? Like, straight up, would that be cool to have, like, your music teacher, if you were in high school, sit you down and say, cool, guys, FrostWire, let me get you guys caught up on how the music industry is changing, right? I don't know too much about what your specific classroom role is, but I'm curious what your thoughts are behind that.
That'd be interesting. I definitely did not have a class like mine in high school. I wish I did, but that's why I'm doing it now. So I'm blessed to where I write the class and I can teach them whatever I want. So I'm basically taking all the information I have or what I've seen out there and trying to synthesize it down into only telling them what they need to know. Like, this will get you paid and make you this much money doing this or that. And if they want to go deeper into things, then so be it. Almost like a college course. I've dialed it back some because there are still kids, so I can't just say, here's assignment, go do it, because they won't do it. So I have to kind of hold their hand through some of it. But really synthesizing what's out there and saying, hey, you can learn everything you want about engineering, about songwriting, about what all of these topics. I can teach this entire course on just one topic. But here's the fundamentals, the basics of, if you do this, you'll go make some money, and then you can take it and get as good as you want at it. So that's kind of how I do it. But a lot of my students, the kids that I've been interacting with, they don't really care about music.
Oh, they're just doing it just because it's a class. Okay.
No, but in general, I think a lot of that happened when TikTok came out. Probably before that, probably streaming before that. But music itself, it's been kind of going on this sliding scale downhill. Like, when it was vinyl records, you ran to the store, you waited in line, you bought the record. Then it was CDs, you bought the CD, you opened it, you had a physical thing to hold in your hand. You had booklets, you had data, like, this person played guitar on this song. Now, going into streaming, that touch point is gone. The initial, like, there's nothing you're holding in your hand. You're holding a phone with a picture that has 1,000 different pictures on there. So that could possibly be why some of these kids nowadays, they just listen to what they like, or playlists, or just whatever. They don't have a following of an artist anymore. They're not like, oh, I know where this person lives, or I know who their friends are. I know every song on this album. I know who produced every song. I know their engineer. You really only have that level of it if you're really a fan of either music or that person now. But I'll say it started with streaming, and TikTok pushed it even further to where nowadays people are passive listeners of music.
What did TikTok do specifically, do you think, in your mind?
Music, it's getting diluted in the sense that people don't value it as much as far as a general consumer. They value almost everything around the music more so than the music itself. What does this person have on? How many chains they got? What kind of car they drive? How many followers they have? What does the music video look like? How many people are in the clip at the show? More so than what does the actual song sound like? What does it make you feel? So when streaming came out, it lowered the barrier of entry. Now anybody can do a song. There were some good things and some bad things to that. With TikTok, now the barrier of creation is even lower. You're rewarded if you just pull your phone out and do something. That's the content that really works on TikTok. Not, I'm going to like this, I'm going to overproduce that. And
the well-prepared.
And that stuff will work on Instagram or other places.
But you want the raw.
TikTok is more so just pull your phone out and do something. That's really what it's about.
So you're seeing this, right? And you're an artist. Damn good one. How do you try to connect with the youth? Because you know that's where it starts, right? Catching fire with the youth is how you just...
Right.
What would be kind of your, because you're working with them, right? You're kind of seeing, I'm not sure if this is obviously your target, like the children you're working with is the target like audience for you, but like, right? Anything, if you can get the youth to be adopted into it, then they're going to carry that for pretty much the rest of their life, you know? Knowing that this is the trend, do you feel like what the shift would be for music, it should be to become more raw, right, than it already is? Or do you feel like, okay, how do I bring back the soul between the music and the person?
That's kind of where I'm at. Mainly, like, I don't know, it's hard because as much as I get told do singles or do this or do that, this is what works, I also to some degree don't care about any of that. And when I did care about it is when I was at my most unstable mentally, because the trends change every week, every day. So if you're following the trend, you'll be all over the place. But when I just took a break and like paused for a moment and said, what really moves me? What do I really want to put out there? What do I want to stand for? You know, later down the line, maybe when my career's over with, like who would they say I am? And just moving only in that space, I'm more at ease and more happy with what I'm creating, and I feel like it also connects more with people as well. So the kids, with me, when I show them what I do or whatever, there's a connection there that they have for a few reasons. One, they can tell like, okay, this is real. No matter what you're doing, people are always going to respect real things. Like, oh, this, I can tell, like, he didn't make this up. This is really a real emotion that he's feeling or going through. And the fact that that they can reach me. Like, oh, I see him. He's my teacher. Like, I see him every day. I can talk to him. I can ask him things. He'll listen to me. He'll talk to me. So that builds it that way. And then also the fact that I look like them. So I guess being young does help as much as I think it doesn't matter as much anymore. But I think off rip, they connect with me. I have an easier time building connections because I'm closer in age to them. I dress cool. I guess I look young versus other teachers like, oh, that's a teacher. They look at me more like a big brother than a teacher.
I feel like one of the things I really wish the kind of the education side of things, I wish it grew with the culture as well. I feel like not so like socially, politically, you know, like, you know, just trying to like stay woke, you know, but more, I mean, like on like the how children are learning. Because, okay, I have to, if I'm an educator, right, if I'm a marketer, okay, and I know what is gonna, the trend, what's gonna get people, what's gonna go viral. Let's say I'm just like AI, bro, like,
yeah,
I'm just plugged the matrix. I'm plugged in. I know what's going on. You know, I could put on, now you can go viral, right? mostly off of the negative content that you're gonna put out. Like if I put up like homies fighting, it's gonna that's just gonna blow up because people love seeing that, right?
Yeah.
But there's a way that I think there's possible to be able to put out content that's actually educational, right? That could be beneficial. That could be like, that I think a kid would want to be super excited about, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like the school system should be more attuned to like, okay, look, no kid is going to try and sit down in a classroom for like 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. That's just brutal. Like, the attention span is just dissolved to nothingness. There has to be another way to get these kids engaged, to be excited about learning, excited about music, getting them about like real music, like some real soulful, like, feels whatever. I'm not saying like, Snoop Dogg back in the day wasn't soulful, but he had a little bit, he was talking about the culture of like what he was going on. And I feel like, if educators can get really good at trying to meet the kids where they are, right, and slowly draw them as they get older into like, hey, look, you got to pick up a book. How important is a book? It's really good to read. Like, okay, let me give you a book. Now that I've learned how to communicate on your level, now I need to get you up to where you need to communicate on ours. Do you feel like the education system should adapt more to like the now technology world that we live in, or should stay kind of like, hey, look, this is the only place that has traditional values? What is your thoughts behind
I think it definitely has to, because if it doesn't, then maybe at some point people are just going to stop going to school. So for me, that's a good point you make about, as an adult, I don't even like sitting in a room for 6 hours at a training. I'm fried already. Unless it's something I really care about and the instructor's really good in teaching me things that I don't know. But after a while, you just get like, it's just much. You take breaks or whatever. So it's crazy to expect that of kids, like, who can't sit still for 30 minutes, and I don't know. So I try to create my classroom a little bit more free-flowing, as in sometimes I'll give them choices, say, hey, I prepared multiple things for us to do today. You pick which one we're doing. How are you guys feeling today? And then they'll give me an option. I'll do that. But also on the flip side, structure is very, very important, because without structure, you kind of just float off or get lost doing this thing or that thing. So I think that's what school provides. It provides a structured environment for you to learn something. There's an order of steps. There's a beginning all the way up to now you can do this if you apply yourself. I think it all just depends on figuring out what type of learners you have and being able to hit that target. So it's really like school is a business. Like as much as we don't want to say it, I can definitely speak for me, as I have a target audience when I teach. And I'm trying to reach a very specific person or group of people. And I've had students who don't fit that demographic who maybe failed the class, like for whatever reason. And just like in a business, how you can't hit everybody, I can't reach everybody as a teacher. I had kids in my class who didn't speak English. Like, you know how much work it would be for me to translate the whole lesson I just did when I'm not, this is not scripted. I'm going like, people are asking questions. I'm like, how hard it would be for me to translate that, and like everything, how much extra work on top of grading on top, and I don't have an assistant. Maybe if I had more infrastructure around me, I could figure it out, but the job is already extremely hard. So I'm not trying to make it harder on myself. So I've had some colleagues who they did translate the work for their students, and they still didn't do it. So it's a weird thing, like feeling like you kind of reach who you can and hope that, people around it catch on and figure out. Just like a business.
Jeez, dude.
Same thing.
Do you want more?
I'll take some more.
All right, hey, we're gonna get some more water. Sarah, do you mind taking some water? Thank you, Sarah. The thing here I'm curious about, right? You're mentioning that like you would have students in your class. What grade is this?
9 through 12.
Don't speak English.
Yeah, I got
the people are just passing them through the.
and that's the cold part about it. I've had students who it's a very, very interesting dynamic. Like, I got students who they literally told me, "Oh, just pass this person through, because this person they're not going to be a lawyer, doctor, nothing major in life. We're just trying to pass them through so they can just get into trade school and maybe wash some dishes and just get them inserted into society some kind of way, because maybe they have I have students in high school,
Bruh.
which again, I don't know how this is possible. I don't have the answers. I'm learning as I go along, who are reading at a kindergarten level, and they're in the 9th grade. They're in
No.
I was reading at a high school level when I was in the 2nd grade. I'm just like, something is not right. It's not working here. So it's interesting, man. Like, it's the school system, at least the district I'm in. I know other districts aren't necessarily like that. Some are more organized, but there's just so many layers on top of. It's not just about did you get an A or F. I learned the other day that after 22, you get kicked out. Like, you can't be in high school past 22. Regardless if you're a senior, as soon as you turn 22, and at least in California, you're done. Like, that's over with. I don't even know if you can even get your GED. Or I don't know. Somebody might have to fact check me on that. But I'm like, you're 22 in high school? What? Like, on campus? And as in, you can be up to 22 years old and still attend high school campus with like 14-year-old kids.
And their solution is to kick them out. That's the solution.
The
solution is, well, we're getting a lot of kids at 22 years old still in high school. So what should we do, Congressman? Let's just kick them out. Let's kick them out.
Yeah, it said it happened. I don't think it's a California specific situation, because I got told about an example where the kid moved to Vegas and he turned 22 and he couldn't go to high school no more. So it might be a federal thing. Oh, the world is big, man. It's like a big world, and things are moving so fast now with technology and digital that sometimes the infrastructure can't keep up fast enough and follow behind what's happening.
I just don't believe that, though. I really don't. The reason I think that is because someone is educating the people, right? Somebody is educating the people to create, right, the technology.
Right.
And they're using that technology for all the people at the bottom to utilize, right? So someone's creating the technology, right, right? They understand their people more than the education understand their people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, everyone is understanding who their customer is, right? Like, at school's customer is supposed to be, right, the student, because if you have no students attending your school, then you're not going to get money.
Right.
That's not how it works. That's, I think, if I would do this hot take, right? Super hot take, but I do a voucher system. I would tell parents, like, look, you get a voucher, no redlining, go anywhere you want. Go to Oklahoma. I'll take your kid to Oklahoma. You in California, look, I don't care how you get them there, okay? Parachute them to school, figure out whatever. If you want to take your kid to the best school possible, take that voucher you got, walk up into some place, hand them that voucher, and be like, boom, here you go. My kid's going here. I feel like I think that should be the way. People should have to earn. School should be like, hey, come to our school. Give us your vouchers. Come to us. Okay, we got this going on. This is our passing rate. This is what we're doing for this is our kids go to Harvard. They go to, right, cool. We're taking kids who are coming from struggling schools, getting them in a year or two caught up to be able to, right? We're the newest technology, because that's what it should be. It shouldn't just be like, well, you have to come here. Hey, your property tax, this is what it pays for. Talk to your Congress. Talk to your city councilman. Like, it just feels so disingenuous. So that's so hurtful to hear, that children who are who may not know the language, right? Children who are having a hard time reading are getting discarded. So then I'm gonna take the pressure off the school. Let's go the other side. Home music, right, is all about parents listen to music. They kind of let their kids listen to it. The parents give them a phone, lets their kids use TikTok, right? They control that kind of that dynamic, right? If you were a parent, what type of music would you kind of let your kids listen to? How would you try to get them into like, try to steer them into that soulful music, knowing that TikTok is very good at what it does?
That's a tough question. I think as of right now, I'll let them listen to whatever they want. But when I get them, I do this with my nephew, where when he's in the car with me, I'll try to play specific things, either what I'm genuinely feeling at the time, I might play that, or I used to purposefully play a lot of like critically acclaimed artists around him. Here's Kendrick Lamar, here's J. Cole, here's Tupac, here's Georgia Smith, Jay-Z, whoever it is, just so he can hear that. That's what my dad did for me, and I think that's part of why I love music so much. My dad played a lot of Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, T.I., Prince, or whoever it was, and I just fell in love with it. So I'm all for letting them explore whatever they want out there, but then having the foundation to say, okay, this is, maybe what I like, or what do you. I create an exchange. I do this with my students too. I don't go into the classroom like I know everything. I'm like, you guys, I'm also here to learn from you. You guys are putting me on to things that I didn't know before I got here, whether it's music, artists, whether it's lingo, whether it's what is your neighborhood like. I'm not from where you're from, so how does it work over there? And now I'm learning different things, from how your interpretation of the world is. So I definitely treat them as an equal in a sense, where this is an exchange of information that's going on, but I understand that I have more, years, I'm older than you, so let me also create some foundation as to, okay, like, let me hold your hand a little bit, walk you through this.
Do you feel like teachers need to play the role of kind of life coaching?
That's exactly what it is. Well, actually, let me take a step back. That's what I do. I think if you have that gift or talent to do that, then by all means do it. Because the kids are going to look for that somewhere. As a kid, even as an adult, I feel like you find people that you gravitate to, that you want things from. Whether it's you like what this person has, you like how they are with their family, you like how they are in their career. We all have people at every stage in life that we want to be like. However, when you're younger, those examples are, I feel, a lot more scattered and not as cohesive, because maybe anybody who drives a nice car is like, I want to be like them, I want that car. Or maybe anybody who you see on TV that I don't know too much about this person, but he's on TV with these cars and clothes and on this boat, like, I want that too. Versus when you get older, it gets a little bit more focused and like, okay, no, I know what I want. I know this person is doing that. Let me see what they're doing.
Something I've been thinking about, right? This is something I was really interested in this conversation because of this one next question I'm going to ask you. I try to save it towards the end, okay? Have you had a chance to kind of talk to the parents of the students?
The crazy part with my specific school, I don't really see too many parents. Like, we've had parent-teacher conferences. I've had probably at least 2, like once a semester. I've probably had 3-4 parents show up ever and I have 200 students. And I'll sit there for the 2 hours at the conferences and 1 might come, if that. So, I don't know, like, the school wants me as a teacher to be calling the parents for everything. Your student was late, your student was absent or was walking around, your student is failing. And there's just so many things to do. I think for me, a strength, but also maybe to a detriment to some sense, is I didn't want to be a teacher. I'm not just a teacher. I have other things going on. So when I'm here and I'm building the best program I can make and providing the best service to the students that's in my ability. But I have 100 other things going on that I have to get done also. So I don't have the time to put all of my eggs in this teacher basket and be calling parents all day when I got to write lesson plans, I got to grade, I got to manage the classroom. I take extra steps to plan career plans with each student in my class.
Career
I
plan.
meet with each of them individually and say, how are you? What's going on in your life? What are your plans for after high school? Or you don't have any, let's figure it out. That might take 30 minutes times 200 students. So, I mean, I prefer to use my time other places. Like, I could call you every time your student is late, but I don't know what your life is like. I don't know what you're going through as a parent. Just because you're mom or dad doesn't mean you don't have different things you're dealing with. Me calling you saying your student's late could be the last thing you want to hear in a day. So, I mean, I don't know. I have a style, and I am working on building and mastering that style even more. And also, I'm taking what I see other people doing, and whatever works, I use it.
What advice would you give to a parent, knowing that AI is coming, kind of knowing that like you as an artist, right? You are not just, again, I don't want to put a label like you're just a teacher here, okay? But not just an educator. You're an artist. You're someone who has utilized this to help you within your
Right.
music world, right? In terms of like the educational side, right? Haven't tapped into it to like with your brand, right? But I'm really curious here, like if there's a kid out there, right, who's like, you know, has some work, likes music in some way, wants to produce, wants to engineer, wants to create, wants to make music, want to be a writer, want to be a singer, rapper, musician, I don't know, piano player, whatever, right?
Right.
And you're a parent, this is the system that your school, your child is in. How would you tell them to be best involved of like what you need to do, maybe like in the home, what they should be doing, kind of like understanding the kind of school dynamic? What would be kind of your advice to someone who's trying to make it in the music?
Really, as to a parent, I would tell them to just support your kids in whatever they're doing. Something my parents did, and I feel like a lot of parents do, is they can say they're there to support you, but they really want to support you doing something that fits their vision for your life. So if your parents want you to be a firefighter, and you say, oh, I want to be a sports scientist. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, you know, go do that. But then let some firefighter stuff come up. It's like, oh, here's this school. Here's this chief. We got this for you. There's definitely a trade-off between how much effort some parents can put into supporting kids relates to certain things. So for me, when it was like basketball, I really wanted to do basketball for a while. I didn't get as much support into basketball as I did with like public speaking or school related things. Because obviously, I mean, and I kind of appreciate them for that to some degree, because when I got to college and the opportunity came to play at the college level, I didn't take it because I'm like, this really isn't what I want to do. So I just say, parents, support your kids in whatever they think at the time, regardless of how outlandish it sounds, whatever, if you think it's a phase, because one time maybe it won't be. Literally everything I have on right now is a result of one of my friends being 13 years old and saying, I want to start a brand. I like drawing. And, you know, had his mom been like, you're not going to do that. You know how many kids out here got brands or whatever. It's LA, you know how many, whatever. But no, his mom correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll tell me. But like, at some point, I believe she quit her job to fully support what her son was doing. She bet everything she had on her son's vision and the plan that he said he wanted to do. And she believed in him. And she, all the way from when it was time to apply for college, she would write his essays for him so he could have more time to focus on his brand. He never had a job, never worked a job, because his mom would, you know, maybe hustle a little harder to provide more for him, or like, you know, help him we're going to help your business make money. So that support, like, I mean, a very smart guy, so he probably still would have made it regardless, but he made it so much faster because of the support he had with his mom, who had different skill sets throughout the way, that had she not been there, or had she not been as supportive, the story probably would have went differently.
There are people who are really thinking about this. College is expensive. It's really expensive.
Right.
And there's so many people. It's like you keep hearing these examples of a individual after individual after individual who didn't graduate college, damn near didn't graduate high school. Some people didn't even graduate high school.
Right.
Becoming millionaires. I hate to say this, right? Because we're in a capitalist environment, right? If you're able to be that so financially wealthy, and you don't even have like traditional education, then like, and you hear these stories, right, of people who are like just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, you know. The whole family starts coming together, colliding, like, okay, how can we make this happen for you? What can we do to support you in this scenario? What do you think matters more, going through college, right, or just like being like hyper focused and dedicated on like one craft? Like, I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but like higher education, right? See, like this feels like the same thing. But my question is how, you're seeing what's happening to your students as they're going through school, right? And those kids, I feel like they can be successful. I don't know if you I don't know, maybe, but I feel like maybe some of them can actually be successful. I think
for sure. I believe anybody is capable of anything. You can't look at somebody, regardless of what they know, whatever, and say where their life is going to turn out. You never know. I think the issue with the school system, at least in America, is, from what I've seen, it's very split. Like, they'll tell you go to college is definitely the push that's being pushed on the students. There's college pennants in preschool classes. But then as teachers, different trainings they give us, we're starting to get videos and discourse on telling them that college is not for everybody. But I feel like it's more it's almost like some people aren't smart enough for it, is how it's kind of being disseminated to teachers. That's really like the underlying subtext of it. But the real thing is college is, no one thing is for everybody. Like, for me, college was drilled into me, so I was like, I'm going to go to college. But when I went, I met one of my best friends who led me to doing music. Like, I don't know, my journey would have went a lot different had I not gone to college. And it was mainly the networking aspect of it that changed everything for me, not what I learned in the classroom or what I did outside. Versus some people who, there are some things you don't need to go to college for. If you want to be an electrician, you don't need to go to college for that. If you want to be a artist, you don't need to go to college for that. If you want to be a lawyer, yes, you got to. If you want to be a doctor, yeah. So I don't think there's one cookie cutter solution for everybody. And the problem with the education system is it's marketed as we're here to teach everybody, and you're really not. It's not gonna happen.
I think you just kind of helped me adjust something. Where I was always kind of big on telling people what to do.
Right.
Hey, look, dude, this is what we got. This is the plan. This is what we got. You got to get this, step this, do this. Once you do this, this will happen. Boom, bada, bing, bam, bow. You know. But you took a very different approach it makes a lot more sense. Instead of telling people what to do, ask them, what do you want to do? And then say, okay, this is what you want to do. All right. Then just go hyper focus on that. Right? And so, like, if a kid's like, I want to go become a doctor, you do? Awesome. So let's do it. It seems like you don't give them any other options. You don't want to, like, put that doubt in their mind. Like, they're not going to do it. It's like, oh, you want to be a doctor? You sure you can go through 10 years of school? You
Exactly.
sure you can do this? You sure you can? You sure? Right? And it puts this thing in their brain, or it makes them feel like maybe I shouldn't become a doctor. Well, then what should I do? Well, I don't know. Then everything's screwed because of that one little piece of doubt that you put in someone's brain. So it seems like your approach is very different. It's just support. Cool. That's what you want to do? Sure. Cool. Why? Sounds like a good why. All right, let's go do it. Let's run it. Is that kind of how you're running it? Because it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Do you feel like that's the way school should be structured? At like, what age do you think someone can really pinpoint on what they want to do? Because it's really tough to that question, you know.
There's no way to tell because everybody's different. Some kids, when they're in middle school, like.
What about you? Let's just use you for example.
Okay.
If you said if you had music earlier, that was the only regret we talked about. So the only thing I would change is if I wish I did this sooner.
Because I knew I always loved music, but I just had no support to go pursue it. Literally from 3 years old, I knew I loved music. I mean, I had a little bit. They tried to put me in guitar lessons, but it didn't really stick. There was a piano in the house, but I never tried to. I wasn't a self-starter as a kid, so I needed someone there to direct me in whatever I was trying to do. But it wasn't until I got in this program at church where this guy was teaching how to rap, like how to write verses, how to count bars. That changed everything for me. Like,
what age was that?
I was like a junior in high school. I think I was about 17 at the time.
If it's 17, okay, Mr. Bishop, come here. This is a counselor, right? How would you want that conversation to go? Whether it's a counselor, a parent, a friend, an aunt, a niece, a nephew, like how would you being the person who's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do in my life, right? But it's little Bishop, okay, and I'm sitting with you and I'm telling you my answer, right? Okay, what do you want to do? Honestly, I'm at this church. Rap music is like this, like learning how. I love it. I could do this for the rest of my life. Right now, I could do that for the rest of my life, right? How would you kind of what would you want to hear, like?
Just support. It's funny. I actually met a lady who, at a conference where she kind of did that for her kids. Whatever they wanted, she went 1,000% into it. Now she has a son who's a photographer for the Lakers. He always liked taking pictures. She fed that, watered that plant, and now that's what he does. She's another son who loved producing, so she found all kind of resources everywhere for him at the beginning. Now he's like the director of licensing for Disney as it relates to music. And she has a daughter who's doing something else. And because whatever they wanted to do, she watered it. It was never no, you can't do that. Or you sure you want to do something else? Or I don't know about that. This is what you want to do? All right, let's go research and find some things. And I'm going to ask around for different resources for this field that you want to do. And it stuck. So I wish somebody would have done that for me. It was always portrayed to me that music was, some people are born to do that, or it's like a fad, or you can't really do a career with that. When there's millions of jobs in music, regardless of if you're an artist, if you're in business, if you're in video, if you're in marketing, if you're in staging, performing, there's so many different things around there. So it's like, regardless of if the kid changes their mind at some point, are they really going to go that far from what they want to do? Are they going to say, hey, I want to be an artist. You know what? I want to be an astronaut. I mean, they might fall somewhere within the blast radius of artists. You know, I didn't like the artist thing, but management is cool. Or I didn't like this artist thing, but I like being a stylist and styling artists. And I don't know, so just supporting them in what they want to do. At the very worst case, they will have an entire year's worth of skill set that they can then use to go apply somewhere else. So with being an artist, right, you learn how to, you're really teaching someone how to run a business. You're teaching them what are the pieces you need to create a team? How do you monetize? How do you do you know what everybody's doing? What makes a good person? How do you assemble a good team? How do you present yourself? What's your target audience? there's a lot of things that will apply themselves to any level of business just from learning how to be a great artist.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yo, I have a pushback.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious on what your thoughts behind this. Kid says, you know, I want to be a. Sounds crazy, okay? I'm just gonna
I feel like I know where you're gonna go.
Okay. I want to be a graphic designer.
Okay.
I was gonna say a factory worker, but let's just I want to be a graphic designer.
Mm.
Okay. You know AI's coming,
Right.
and you're a parent, and you're just like, fuck. Okay, listen, son, because you have these computers just making pictures like that. Okay, hold up, and then you got AIs making bots that can make some music like that. You know, you get all these. Okay, I sound crazy. Sarah's laughing right now, but like, man, it's so hard because you had this kid, you raised this kid, you got to this point, and you're just nervous because what if the kid wants to do something? Because people are losing their jobs right now. Like, there's a ton of graphic designers getting deleted because why do I need you? Why do you need a website designer? AI can make you a website in 3 minutes. Literally, you can put the prompt in. It'll give you. I figure out how to. Hey, what do you want your website to look like? How do you want to structure the whole website? Boom. What's the point of having a website designer? What's the point of having anything? So you kind of put yourself in a position. You're like, how do you compete with this world that's about to come? You know. And I can see as a parent where you're sitting there like, I don't know if like you can't. It's gonna be hard for AI to replace a lawyer. I mean, not really. Actually, a lawyer's getting deleted. But like a doctor, any hands-on plumber, like a doctor fixing someone, it's gonna be hard for a bot. Like, right? Yeah. So I'm curious on kind of like, I think what the last statement you said is still true, but like, how do you make that sell when you're gonna tell them that, hey, if it doesn't work, they still got 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience, of learning how to build something. It didn't work, right? But they can use that experience to apply something. How do you sell that to someone who's like, man, that's my kid? Do I really want them to go all in on being like this, like a painter? He's like, listen, you better be the best painter. Like, like we're gonna pull some Banksy, pull some Banksy paintings. But like, how would you? Yeah, you understand my concept, my question here? When knowing that the world of technology is coming, I know you can't predict the future, but what does that sell for a parent?
I think the caveat would be to figure out how to make yourself indispensable in the field you want to go into. So if it's music, right? This is kind of a journey I took on just with the community that was around me when I first started. But I know how to write songs in any genre. I know how to produce songs in any genre. I know how to engineer, mix, master, record songs of any genre with analog equipment, with digital equipment, with whatever equipment you have, with whatever software. I know multiple softwares. I know multiple different sets of plugins. I know concepts and fundamentals. So I can, regardless if I have the top of the line plugins, I can make your song sound radio ready with anything. So with a lot of the skills I have, I bring a lot of value to wherever I go as a music entity, as whatever I'm doing. So if you're a graphic designer, figure out how can you make yourself irreplaceable within that space. Maybe it's creating a platform where you teach other kids how to graphic design at the same time that you're producing your art. So now you have this subscriber base of people paying you monthly, and you got 500,000 of them. And regardless of if companies are hiring you, you still have these people paying your bills or whatever every month. Or with people, there's no question of ownership. Like, you can go graphic design something for Nickelodeon, and you can easily sign away those rights to that, and they own it. That's a lot easier of a process than dealing with this AI situation, which is why, as of right now, you can't use AI and design anything for any of these studios.
Because it's technically not your... Exactly. It's not your work.
To any degree. So you have to either hand draw it or draw it in the program. It has to be all original, your creation. You can't use AI for any of it. So, I mean, find out how you can make yourself irreplaceable or indispensable in that space. Because and that's not like a easy 5 seconds you got it. That's gonna take some time to think about. Like think about it and come up with that and then go do it.
Last question. You mentioned that you're not just an educator.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many other things in the world that you are like really in the works on. Can you kind of enlighten on some of those things?
So for me, I kind of I hyper focused on artist educator as the title I kind of
coined, yeah.
And I guess I'll put DJ on there at the end of that too.
Yeah.
But with the DJ thing, I'm getting more into vibe curation. So whether that's me physically DJing an event or a party, or me, now I'm getting into throwing parties and curating a vibe for people to come and have a good time and enjoy themselves. So that's also a big thing that I'm starting to grow more within myself as well. I'm trying to hone in and master certain things as it relates to what am I good at. So when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, this is what I ask my students. First, it's like, what do you want to do? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and do anything, what would that look like? Cool. If you don't know, if you're like, I don't know, I'm not really interested in anything. My next question is, what are you good at? What would you say you're better than the average person at, or what comes to you somewhat easily that you don't have to try as hard at? If you're good at something, that's another career. That's another business you can start and get paid for. If you don't know what you're good at, what do people compliment you on a lot? Like, hey, you're pretty good at this, or you should think about doing that. What do you get? What compliment do you repeatedly get? So I'm in a space where, and it's funny, like me doing this with my students, at the same time I'm almost doing it to myself. So now I'm like, okay, I know how to do lots of different things, but what am I really good at? I'm really good at being an artist. I'm really good at being an educator and connecting with the students. And I'm really good at building connections, networking, making people feel welcome, making people feel heard. And my energy, just people want to be around it. So I'm like, all right, that's 3 different things right there. Let me just focus on those areas, and all my other skill sets will help to uplift the 3 main pillars that I'm using to build my house of what I want to do.
Damn. Yo, if you did not hear what, dude, this was like, I have so much to think about now. Like, I don't think you really understood kind of like the perspective shift that you kind of made. But you almost could see it all. Like, you're such in a really cool spot. Like, because not only do you create your own, right? Mm-hmm. Not only do you see from the younger, see where you are now, right? You kind of also been using the tools. Like, you're kind of in this really sweet kind of area where you can kind of like see a piece of what the future's going to be, in about 10 years from now, right? And if people heed your warnings, right? Like, hey, man, if you got a kid, parents, teachers, anyone out there, if you got a kid, you got a cousin, you got a friend, you got someone out there who's like, yo, I want to do this, support them, because that could literally not only, right, raise them up, but who you think they're gonna bring up with you, right? You got a homie who's like, you're able to build this like ecosystem around each other, and it's a really cool thing. I think your psychology is. I think your philosophy is almost literally spot on. Like, I don't have any holes. I can't find any really holes. There's nothing to debate about. I don't really have much of like a area where I feel like, you're super off on. Like, I think, oh no, I think you should adjust this. I think even the push that I did, it was like, okay, you got to tell these parents, like, what are you going to tell their kids? Like, you can't be a painter. Like, what do you mean a painter? Like, how are we going to make money, right? But the world, TikTok and the way things are, you could be, anyone can now influence, if you can learn how to be able to support someone and figure out how in that niche where they can become the best at something, that's such an interesting perspective. I have so much to think about. Where can people connect with you? You have you have any shows coming up?
Yeah, I got a show August 9th. We're going to be at Mama Shelter in Hollywood with the Name Band. So I'm really excited for that. We've been going back and forth on putting that together. But August 9th in Hollywood, we're doing that.
Is it your show you're hosting, or is it one of those?
It's our show. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
So
Heck yeah, we gotta show up.
So that's fire. We got something this weekend that we're doing with this organizer called Music Changes Lives, and I still have to get the details on that. I don't know where or when, but that's this Saturday. And then we have something else in Rancho, I believe on the 19th of August. So the main thing I have in stone is August 9th, Mama Shelter Rooftop at like 8 p.m. That's for sure.
Well, show up, guys. I think you as a person, an individual, it's like I mean, it's going to be really to see you grow, especially as you start utilizing the tools. Like you have built everything from the ground. Mix, mastering, and producing, writing multiple genres, being able to perform yourself, DJing, networking. Like you have like all the key things. So it's really cool. And if people want to be able to connect with someone like that, which they probably should, it helps elevate not only themselves, but you and everyone else around them. It's a win-win-win situation if you do it right. So I really appreciate the knowledge that you kind of spewed, Is there any like kind of final thoughts for you?
Yeah, final thoughts. I appreciate you for having me up here again. Is I think for me, I say these things and it feels good to hear you say like, man, you're smart or whatever. I'm actively working on trying to stay in that space because I say this stuff and it's almost as if I'm detached from what I'm saying. Like I need to also hear it myself. Like what I say is what I need to hear. The music I make that I want to give to the world and inspire people, it's what I need to hear. That's what I write. And I'm like, okay, I know if it helps me and it's something I need to hear, then there are other people out there who also need to hear this too. So I'm actively trying to stay in the space of, battling back the feelings of inadequacy or feeling like I'm not good enough because I don't have 1 million followers or $1 million or, what have you, or feeling like that I have to box myself into a thing to fit one category or whatever people say I should be, or even learning all of these things and being too afraid to put myself out there and not invite people to the show and not show people my music or not show people that I'm teaching or not take risks on DJing or whatever it is. So I have to put myself out there and let the world see the skills that I've cultivated in an interesting and fresh way in order to create like the lifestyle that I really want to live.
There's it's a weird saying. It sounds completely assholey, but you're who you are, you're where you are, you're what you are because of the way you think. And so if you want to change who you are, where you are, and what you are, you change the way you think. The person who's the hardest critic on yourself is yourself.
Yeah.
And the demon in your brain always telling you about what you're doing wrong.
Right.
That person is really hard because that's the loudest person, especially if you don't get to speak and talk, That's why we want to do this show, because like it's important to get people around each other to keep talking about the things positively, affirmations. Right. Things are going, hey man, we're going, right? Because the more you speak, right, the law of attraction happens. It's not like this weird, philosophical brainwave bullshit. Essentially, it's just if I keep saying, hey, this is what I want to happen,
right, what
ends up happening is people start literally coming into place to help you make that shit happen. It's just like weird dynamic stuff.
Sure.
But like I never met you. We just met damn near a month, like 2 weeks ago, 3, right?
Yeah.
Like for real, it's law of attraction. Your actions, right? Keep saying it. Just keep saying it, my friend. Whether you believe it or not, like not believe it, whether you have internalized it or not, in due time, your actions will essentially become the reality, right? Because that is essentially you are who you are, where you are, what you are, because the way you think, you're getting what you deserve, right? And as long as you change, as long as you continue doing the things you're doing, right? You essentially will keep speaking about the things you want. Then essentially your life will literally become the life that you want or your desire. So So I'm really excited for this journey, my friend.
Thank
I'm here for the whole ride, man. I'm like, yo, dude, this is dope. I think your mentality's in a good spot. I think you're surrounded by the right key players. I think for us now, it's just about like, okay, let's it's time, for you support.
Yeah, actually,
you need the support. So let's
Yeah.
go. Like if anyone out there who really wants to help support, then you know what to do. Get up, get active, because you never know the people you are supporting. What are they going to do? Turn around and do what? Support you. It's a win-win situation, right? So keep supporting each other. You're going to essentially get the results you're looking for. You really changed my whole... I have so much to think about. So much to think about, my friend. Where can people find you?
At Jimmie Bishop 951, Jimmie Bishop 951 on Instagram. And Threads, the new thing that's out.
That's it. I didn't even get to jump into that world.
Yeah, YouTube.
I haven't got the tool yet, but
Same thing, Jimmie Bishop 951, and Twitter, Jimmie_951. And then to your last point, I feel like I'm doing 3 things specifically that, I don't know, I'm working on these every day. But first one is like, I don't do as many affirmations as I just try to stop saying negative things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm like. I don't try. So, like, when I ask somebody something, like, say I'm trying to say, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? Or do you want to just do this another time? I cut that whole second part off. It's like, do you want to go eat? You want to do this or not? You tell me what you want to do. I'm not going to influence you any other way. I'm going to just put out what I want out there and get back what comes back. So stop putting negative things in the air. I'm also I'm writing things down, writing things on the vision board and setting goals, what I want to do. And I think the third thing I kind of said first, but it's like I'm trying to stop answering for people or putting my judgment and what's in my head on other people. And like, you can edit this out if you want, but this is just a very, very left field kind of weird analogy, but I know a lot of people could probably relate to this. So I was in Vegas this past weekend, and I had, an experience with a girl or whatever. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I did a bad job. Like, it was whack. Like, it's terrible. Like, I'm never going to hear from her again. And lo and behold, I started hearing from her all the time after that. Like, all of the time. So again, like, had I in the moment been like, oh, sorry that it was bad, I would have ruined her experience of what happened by placing my doubts and disbelief on it, when I probably shouldn't have said the city, but rather than just letting it be what it was. So also trying to apply that to my life. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think honestly, I can't. I'll say the same thing. Me and Sarah have a situation going on, and I'm very concerned about who I am and my mentality. What all these questions I'm asking you, right? Yeah. Because I'm like trying to understand, okay? Because I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
You people are everyone has these like thoughts that and I completely agree with you, because I be feeling sometimes like, damn, I really fucked up. Like, there's some real shit. But then someone comes like, thank you so much. That conversation was so good.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? Or like, like, seriously? Okay, cool. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, man. Yeah, I completely understand. I understand where your wavelength is coming from. I really connected with this. I thank you, man. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
We have to do this again.
If you put out the clip with that last part, just bleep out the city.
Nah, you're good.
Just take that out.
We won't even drop the clip.
But you could drop the clip, but just for what I said, where, just take that out. Because I just don't want to create no situation. But you could say the rest or whatever.
Well, let's get it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. To everyone, do what you guys do best. Please share, like, comment, subscribe. Do everything you guys can, and support this guy. August 9th.
August 9th, yeah.
August 9th, man. Come out to Mama's Rooftop.
Mama Shelter Rooftop in Hollywood.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Everybody, good night.